Welcome to FemSTEM, the podcast where we are dedicated to bridging the gender gap in STEM fields by spotlighting remarkable women making waves in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. I'm your host, Twisha Mehta, and today we have a very inspiring guest whose journey in AI is not only breaking barriers but also paving the way for future generations. But before we dive into our conversation with her, let's set the stage. Yuyu Shen is a powerhouse in the world of AI, hailing from the UK. With a robust background in applied mathematics and statistics, Yuyu has adopted various roles, from data scientist at Meta to senior product manager at Walmart. Currently, she leads as a senior technical product manager at Beamery, spearheading groundbreaking projects in AI and machine learning, with a keen focus on workforce insights and innovation. Yuyu, thank you so much for joining me today. Your journey is truly an inspiration, and I'm excited to delve into your experiences and insights.
Happy to join.
So, to start off, can you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your background in STEM?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Yuyu, like Trisha said. I have been in the world of STEM for a very long time. Yeah, probably over a decade. So I started my STEM career basically in school, and like Trisha said, I studied applied mathematics and statistics. Both have a bachelor's and master's degrees in it. And then afterwards, I worked in various different fields across several different industries, right? Starting with consumer banking, analytics, strategy, technical program management, that type of work, to working at a fintech, a very small fintech startup. So launched their subprime loan product. But we were doing good. I know that it has a bad annotation to it. And then I worked at Meta as a data scientist. Then I joined a smaller retail retail tech startup, scale up. And then from there, I was at Walmart doing supply chain innovation and automation for a little bit before I came to the UK. Yeah, by the way, most of my experiences are in the US, but I liked the UK, so I wanted to be in the UK and moved to the UK and joined Beamery and working on their AI core AI and workforce insights teams. Yeah. So that is a quick summary of me, I suppose.
So, what inspired you to take up your specific area of expertise? Like, what do you do? Why do you start with statistics and then go over to AI now?
So I think that question, the answer to that is probably very obvious, right? Everyone knows that AI is becoming really, really popular right now, but it's not just that, it's the natural movement of things, right? AI for me is an interesting area because you have to work in AI, especially as a product manager, you sort of need to be able to wear many different hats and use a lot of different skills. You need to have enough of a technical background, right? So you understand the research, you understand the ways that AI could be applied. You get to think about the business use cases. You have to think about how do you bring together technology and people's problems and think about how you solve them in creative ways. So it's just altogether a very interesting job. And of course, I'm a curious person, and so working in this area sort of satisfies your curiosity a lot because you really get to think of novel problems, and that's what I like about it. Yeah.
So, what gender trends do you see in your field today? Like, is there anything like you'd like to highlight about it?
I think it's a very obvious thing, right? It's still a male-dominated field, um, obviously, and I think women are still sort of ignored a little bit in this field. I think if you look at the environments I'm in or the people that I work with, obviously most of them are men still. And in the field, in aggregation, right? Usually the women who are also paving the way, they're not being talked about as much as some of these other people. I don't think I personally experienced things where it's a clear thing where people are like, if you're a woman, we're going to ignore you a little bit, or don't think the things you say matter the same. I personally, I haven't really experienced that, but it's an area where we have a lot of gaps. That's
Mm.
the only thing I would say, yeah.
Yeah. The fact that you yourself haven't faced any challenges being a woman is actually surprising to me, considering like to the male dominated field again, as you said. Um,
Yeah. I don't know how you would really categorize that, right? Challenges. What I can say is no one has been blatantly,
mhm,
obviously, ignoring me because you're a woman. If there are unconscious biases or things like that, it's really hard for me to know. I mean, you definitely feel like you're standing out a little bit. Sometimes when you feel like you're being sort of singled out a little bit or that your opinions didn't weren't taken as seriously as you probably thought it would. It's also hard to tell exactly at this point what is it that made it that way. It's something that women sort of are that trouble us a little bit, right? That type of mental loads. It's probably not something that a lot of men would experience, or they wouldn't do the type of analysis or excuse making, etc. But I would say generally, the work environment has been positive, personally, that I've experienced.
there's still like a very obvious,
Mm,
difference in the gender that is working in the STEM field. Why do you think that is? Like, is it because of the preconceived notion that it's just something that males should do, or what do you think? Like, what are your insights into it?
it's probably that men are more encouraged to do things here. Um, and also probably because the gaps that existed before, um, maybe it's also about representation and what you think of yourselves as, right? So maybe it's more likely for a boy to, like, because you, in your guys' age, maybe it's more likely for a boy to envision themselves working in such kind of fields, mainly because there were so many male role models, because originally there's a much bigger gap. And probably it's a little bit less natural. I'm not saying unnatural, but less natural for a girl to think that, oh, I should work in the STEM field, because comparatively you have less female role models. So yeah, I would say it is that. And because you have less female role models, or you have less females still in the high-ranking places in the industry in STEM, it probably also led to even subtle things, right? Like I just still don't think I think t today a lot of the blatantly obvious things aren't there anymore. But then it could lead to policies or the way people behave or cultures at work that ever so subtly are more male friendly. Altogether could still mean that the gap would take some time to close. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, what advice would you give to young women aspiring to enter the STEM field?
Is just do it because it's not actually something that's undoable, right? So maybe that's really what they need to realize is just that they should just do it, and they could just do it. Maybe there will be some more challenges, like I said, because right now it's a male dominated field. The leaders tend to be more male dominated. The policies could be more friendly to, or like just the general culture, unspoken culture could be more friendly to certain male associated traits. but doesn't mean you just shouldn't do it. Expect some challenges, but then still believe in yourself. You believe in yourself and you are sure that STEM is the field that you want to go into, and just do it, make your way, study the subjects that are in this field, go for the jobs that are in this field and pave your way here. That's, yeah, just do it. Maybe you could be the role models that other people look after.
Um, so obviously you are incredibly successful in your field. So what were the three qualities that you believe were vital in getting you to where you are today?
Qualities. Well, I do think I have a good system thinking and technology mindset. I think that, well, that is helpful, right? We're talking about STEM and there are many things you could do, but it is important to have the sort of mind to actually think in a STEM way, which is a systematic way, logic-driven way in many cases, forming hypotheses, I don't know, prove or disprove those hypotheses just as a brain model almost. And one thing that I would like to say about that is I do personally think this is something we can learn and we can train for. It's not necessarily something that you kind of are born to have or not have. Many of these traits and skills are, even if it's a way of thinking, it is something that if you really want to do something here, you could develop and train for that type of thinking, right? So I think that's one thing. I do think I'm a very curious person. I think curiosity is an important trait to have if you want to work in STEM field, particularly if you want to work in something that's more ever developing, like the field of AI, because you just have so much to learn, right? You just have so much to learn, and new things are being developed every day, new ways of making the systems better, new technology that you could adapt in your own field or in your own work. Just so new, right? Things are new all the time. And if you don't catch up to the times and learn at least enough, then you will surely be falling out of place really fast. However, if you also are not a curious person, and you force yourself to learn, you just then you'll feel like you're never out of having too much homework, right? Which is gonna make your life not very happy, successful or not, but if you just keep having to envision a working career of having lots of homework every day and you don't like it because you don't like doing it, so you see them as homework, then it's just not a very happy career for you. So I would say develop or really like try to encourage your own curiosity so that you learn and you learn because you want to, and then you'll both be able to catch up with the times, and keep doing great things and not be out of date, but at the same time actually enjoy the whole process. So I would say curiosity is one of the more important things that people should try to develop if they really want to work in this field. All together, I think one is to develop the type of technology or systematic thinking mindset, a way of thinking, and then curiosity and resilience.
That was really insightful. Also, just like a question that popped up. So in the study, we're talking about how your product it can be helped to avoid biases. So how do you ensure that AI-driven products maintain ethical standards and avoid the general biases that there is?
Being AI, using AI instead of human only already reduces the biases. First, yes, AI is trained on historical data done by humans, which means whatever biases exist there, AI would inherently have some of. However, when it becomes AI, it has an algorithm behind it, right? And that algorithm is auditable and it is tunable. So you can see, you can now, instead of your biases being just some unconscious thing buried in every human's head that they can do, and it just won't be, there's no way you can really audit a person's bias, right? However, well, you sort of could, but it's so much harder than if you just now summarize these learnings into an algorithm and have that algorithm be then auditable, testable, tunable, to a sense that you could like have proof that this is not bias inducing, right? And the other thing is you can think of ways in AI that would inherently reduce the bias. This is, at least in our view, in our vision, the little bit of work we could do to make this world a more fairer place.
So my last question was, obviously in AI, there's like a lot of innovation that's happening, and especially now when it's like gaining more popularity. So what do you think are some challenges that you face when you're driving innovation?
Um, I'll say it because so in AI, there are two like very broad camps of different things you could do with AI, right? One is you could be one of the ones developing very foundational models. So today, especially with generative AI, right, there are some companies that are run by really top tier and an army. Most of people in the company will be researchers where they are trying to develop foundational models. And then there's another bigger camp of AI, which is actually, I think, will end up matter to most people, probably even more so than the development of foundational models, is how do you then either the model you develop that's less foundational in a sense where it changes everybody else's work. You develop some of your own models, maybe you fine tune some of the foundational models. Maybe you just start to think of a way to use AI in your industry. So this is about lending the impact of AI. Yeah, that I also think is a really big challenge in itself. However, speaking of the challenges to innovation, I think if you're in the camp of lending AI, you obviously one is you have to still be kept abreast of what is happening out in the world of AI. Let's say what foundational models are being developed, what could be changing, right? In that sense, in that fundamental sense, and how it could change your product or your world, right? It could either be something you can adapt for your product. It could be something that can entirely replace your product. Who knows, right? Because the more AI is being developed at that level, it could be something that you have to think of a way to help your customers adopt. So definitely, I think the main challenge actually really is that to keep up to date with what's being going on there in the world. And then how do you understand it, think about the impact, can connect to your use cases, and use it in the best way possible instead of having it be something that may challenge your entire business or business model, because it does happen to people, right? And I think another challenge is because the fact that AI is now so well known and everybody knows it and everyone's having maybe some kind of idea about it, which is may or may not right. By the way, my a really good friend and me, we're good friends, and she's also in AI. She's on the engineering side, and we are going to do a little podcast of just basically explaining basic AI concepts to people so that because we feel like there's a lot of people saying a lot of things, and sometimes people just don't know, or they don't feel like they could know, but in fact they could know. Many things is something that they could know. Yeah. keeping up to date also with regulations. What does that mean for your product? Sometimes challenges in convincing your customer that they could use AI, or help them convince their internal regulation bodies that this AI is audited, it is safe, it is something that they could use, right? It is a challenge in itself. So yeah.
Your insights were like really valuable, and I'll be sure to check out the podcast which you're doing when it comes out. Well, with that, we have come to an end of our podcast. Thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us today. And it was really inspiring to talk to you, and I've learned like so much as an individual by interacting. This is the FemSTEM podcast where inspiration